hello, good afternoon, evening, day, whatever time it is when you're listening to this. If you are listening to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, a podcast listening platform, today is just another day in the life of Saddle Bunny for you. But if you are watching this on YouTube with me, then today is a very special day. Oh my God, hi. Did you even know I had a podcast? You might not have, but good thing you do now. Today's the first time ever that we're going to be having a video episode of the podcast on my YouTube channel. Now, this is something that I had said I would never do, that I was not ever going to do. And I literally was thinking about doing this in the beginning of the year and was like, Katie, no, we're not doing video podcasts. And the reason for that was I didn't want to have a camera on me while I was recording podcasts because I was like, we love recording things looking terrible from our bed, literally vertical, just sleeping basically with a mic, like looking our absolute worst. And then I thought to myself, you know what, Katie? If anyone has seen me at my lowest, it's YouTube. You guys, you on YouTube. You guys, I really have no ability, no self-preservation instinct when it comes to bringing out my vlog camera. I don't know what it is about the vlog camera, but it doesn't matter what I look like, and I'm willing to get on there. I brush my teeth on the vlog. I can't even list the things because it's kind of embarrassing the lengths I will go. And I thought, you know what we're going to do is, because I feel like this is going to be a great blender for all my content to be in the same spot. I also really love video podcasts. So if you're someone who loves video podcasts, we now have that available for you on the internet. I also feel like there's a lot of people on YouTube that don't know about my podcast, like I said, and now you will have the opportunity to know about it. Hi, you're welcome. I'm literally bringing the podcast to you. And then if you're a podcast listener and you haven't checked out my YouTube, maybe you go through this and you love the videos of the podcast and you want to look at other things. Now you can mingle in. I also was thinking this would be great because I will have lots of podcast content that's amazing, incredible, literally some of my favorite, like recorded sit down moments with myself. And I hate that I have to pick whether it goes on my podcast or my YouTube channel. And now it's just going to go on both. So basically I didn't want to choose and now I don't have to. Amazing. We love her for that. Anyway, this is our first video episode and I'm super excited for you all to be here. I hope you guys love the podcast. If you're a new watcher because you're watching this YouTube video and you want to go, explore the rest, there's literally 9 months of podcasts on my YouTube channel and you can go, or not YouTube channel, podcast. You can go, a link is always in the description for my podcast. So you guys can go scoot on over there, shoot on over to Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts and look at my extensive backlog. Congrats. You just got so much to binge. It's literally insane. Sometimes I'm like at my lowest crying. Sometimes I'm just talking for hours about the 1975. Like you really never know what you're going to get. Sometimes Ethan's on here with me. Sometimes he's not. It's beautiful. It's really a beautiful, magical, amazing time. So these episodes, the video episodes, I just want you to know, they're not going to be amazing quality. They're not going to be incredibly, produced. It's just going to be me, this mic at my desk in my office, which is like kind of the norm here. So I don't even think that's going to be anything different. It's going to really bring everybody together though. That's the goal of this. So today's big podcast topic, what are we going to chit chat about? I recently saw a video by the grace of the algorithm from the amazing Damon Dominique. Damon, if you're watching this, hi, you have deeply inspired me and also made me think a lot about things. And you also just said things that I've been trying to articulate for the last year that I've been feeling, but didn't ever like put it right together in the right way, if that makes sense. And you did finally. And I just feel like I can't talk about this enough. Damon put out a video called Why I Don't Post Anymore. And I've never seen his content before this. Like literally, I have never seen his content before this. I wasn't a subscriber. I'm not like super into like travel content, which is what he usually does. And I saw this video, clicked on it, and it was one of the most amazing commentaries on the internet as it stands today. And what are we doing with this that I have seen in recent years? I'm going to link the video in the description of the podcast. Go look at it. I really, really want you to go watch the video because I'm going to be talking about a lot of the talking points he mentions in his video and just kind of adding my own 2 cents into it. Because like I said, I've been saying this stuff for a long time and in different wording and maybe not as articulately as he has. And I have to talk about it with somebody because I am a chronically online girl who loves commentary on the internet and social media and the culture on it. Okay. His video was especially interesting because he comes at it from a perspective I have not heard. And that is this perspective of someone who's been making a career on YouTube for 9 years or just on the internet, maybe not YouTube. I feel like a lot of the commentary I'm going to give is mostly on TikTok and Instagram and the way that social media culture is moving. Not so much about YouTube because I feel like YouTube has not felt the same effects of these things, but I'm sure it will come or maybe it won't. I don't know. I hope it doesn't because I am a very optimistic person with a very altruistic, is that the right word? Like, I don't know. I have a good outlook of the future that I'm hoping that's what we all get to experience and not something like doom and gloom and shitty, but like, you never know. The world's crazy. Who knows what's going to happen? Basically the whole video was about content and content creators and what is the thing to do these days as a content creator, as someone who's trying to make their living online. I want to say one of the things he touched on that really like spoke to me is this idea that back in the day, when content creators first became a thing, when people started making a living online, content creators used to be just that. They used to be creators, not influencers, creators. And I feel like they were born on YouTube. And this is the kind of creators that I looked up to when I was growing up. I was really privileged in getting to grow up looking up to people like Damon and watching their content and seeing things and going, oh, wow, like, that person is so creative. That person is so interesting. They put together such a beautiful story or whatever it is. They're so good at creating like a different mood or just executing their ideas. Like, and I would listen to podcasts or interviews, whatever it was, of them talking about how they execute their ideas, where their inspiration comes from. Like, it was very much talking with an artist, like someone who is an artist. I don't know any other way to describe it. And that's not to say that like being entertaining is not an art, because I still like to me, an actor is an artist. Like, that's a form of art, like acting or comedy. Like, that's art to me. I just feel like nowadays, which is again, a topic that Damon talked about, there's just this idea because of the way that content has gone that we just mass make things and just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. And we do not really consciously think about what we're making. You know what I'm saying? Something that he also said in his video was like, if you have nothing to say, maybe you should just be quiet. And I feel like a lot of people don't do that enough anymore. Like, everybody has something to say. And if you don't have something to say, you will literally make up something to say just so that you can say something. That's a lot what I just said, but like, you know what I'm saying? And it just feels like there is so much content. I've been talking about this for the last probably year about cheap content. And it's just cheap and it's useless and it really isn't, it's not good. It's not something I admire. It's not like, it requires no talent really, except for like following a trend or looking hot or cute. Like, that is like all you have to do. And I'm not shitting on looking hot or cute because that is also a talent to some extent. But I mean, like, you're not innovating fashion or makeup or anything like that. You're not doing new things. You just look cute or hot and you post, and that's like it. Or you make garbage and you make a lot of garbage and you just throw it at the wall until something sticks, and that works for you. And that's what you do. Like, it doesn't require talent, and it's not art anymore. It's not artistry, not on TikTok and not on Instagram. I will say there are some people that I feel like they're creating artistry. It is things I watch that I'm like, wow, like, that's a neat take on that, or that's different. But the people that do that, they're usually not outputting the correct amount of content to stay relevant in the algorithm. And so because of that, they are not found by a lot of people, or I don't see a lot of their stuff and they're not succeeding. And this leads me to my next point, which is something that like I feel like has been talked about since the beginning of the short form videoification of social media. And that is artists leaving social platforms in droves or getting lost in social platforms. So I feel like for a long time as an artist, like whether you are a graphic designer or you draw, you like to make stuff, you're a crafter, you're a, I don't know, maybe you quilt or sew or whatever that is, you would like come to the internet to show your art. Like I remember like multiple graphic design accounts that I followed that were just graphic design posts that I was seeing, almost like a Pinterest-esque situation, things like that. And I feel like social media used to be a safe haven for creative people where you could make a living doing what you love just by sharing it with the world. Like you used to be able to do that on Instagram. And I would say now, like the thought of posting static art on Instagram, it makes me want to barf. Like I wouldn't do it. I don't do it. I have to like convince myself to do it because it's not going to perform. And I gotta say, like, I hate saying that out loud because as an artist, you never want to say that the numbers are affecting you. You want, oh no, I just do what's good for me. I don't care what anyone thinks. I'm just making whatever I like. But it's like really hard when like things that you love and really care about, like in order to do those for a living, you have to be on these social platforms. And then like by posting them to the social platform, they get a little number next to them that like marks how worthy of attention, love, and care they are. And they're like little bits of you. So really people are rating like you. They're rating you. Like your art is you. So when you post something and it doesn't do well, it's you that's not doing well. When a graphic I make, or not a graphic, but like when a drawing I make doesn't do good, it's because I suck. Right? Like that's where your head goes in those situations. And now that video is the only medium, and not only video, because I love video. Like I could talk about video forever, but short form video that is very cheap and just like vapid and meaningless. And another word Damon used, empty calories in a way. Like it just doesn't even like, it has no meaning. Like that is what's popular right now. So if you're trying to do something cool or different or meaningful, you get lost. Like no one's even finding you. And another thing he highlighted was like this idea that back in the day, the OG YouTubers that I watched, that I looked up to, these really hyper creative people that were doing things different, even a few years ago, just like photographers that were taking interesting photos or documenting their life in a cool way. Like I remember when like people had like little digital scrapbooks on Instagram that they were creating. Like that kind of stuff is just getting like basically wiped from platforms like Instagram because of that. And like the fact that those things do not translate to short form video, artists are just like being either lost or they leave the platforms. They're not doing well. I don't see unique, interesting things on Instagram. I don't see unique, interesting things on TikTok. Hard, like ever. And like not unique and interesting in a creative way, maybe in an informative way, maybe something I have never seen before, like a beekeeper, but never something that's like, wow, that was such a neat video, or wow, that was such a cool piece of art. Like I never, ever see that. It just doesn't exist because the artists that make that stuff, they can't work in this algorithm. And not only that, but art is something that's like, it's not, you can't put it on a conveyor belt and mass produce it. You can't, like, not unique things every day. Like it's just not going to happen. It's not the way that art goes. And so because they can't keep up with this rat race that's been created because of the like nonstop scroll of TikTok and, these short form video platforms, like they can't keep up because it's a never ending treadmill of constantly making things. And I've talked about this a lot because I'm very passionate about it. I feel like when I was like partaking in that online, I was like stressing myself out to post every day reels or vlog or, TikToks. It was like really getting to my mental health, like really getting to me, like trying to post a short form video every day or even just 5 days a week or 3 days a week, or, you know, some people recommend you do multiple a day, like 3 to 5 a day. It was driving me insane because thinking of 10 unique topics or like splicing up something into 10, like just the amount of work that goes into that is absolutely insane. Like you don't understand because you think, oh, it's short form video. It takes a less time, but being able to focus on one YouTube video a week or even two topics, 2 YouTube videos, it's so much easier for me than it would be if I had to go back to what I was doing before and all the different ideas. And that's, I think, where this cheap content comes into, because then if you even want to like, if you want to stay, you know, you want to have eyes on your stuff, you want to be able to keep doing what you love for a living, then you have to like play that game, that, you know, rat race, treadmill, post every day game. And because of that, you have to dial down the quality, because you can't make quality things at the rate that they need you to stay relevant. So you have to like mix it in. Then you have to say, okay, so what's my ratio going to be? Like 70-30% good content, 70% shit content. Is that what I'm going to do? I hate that. I hate having to like sacrifice quality just so that I can like survive. And like, I hate admitting that I was someone that had to do that, but that's just what it is. Like, I had to post videos of me lip syncing to audios with a funny joke, which like, yeah, the funny joke was mine and I came up with that. But like, was it amazing? Was it unique? Was it incredible? No, it was just like literally spitball, random. Like a lot of times I would just like, one day I would get ready, sit down, record as many audios as I could, save them in my camera roll, not even give them captions. And then as the captions came to me, post them throughout the week. And like, that's just meaningless to me. Like, that's not what made me want to be a content creator. That's not what made me love YouTube. That's not what made me like love creators. Like, that is lazy, cheap, garbage content that we're just being fed. And that leads me to another point, which is like, people are not thinking enough about what they're ingesting. Like in the beginning of the year, I set some really strict content, like social media specifically for TikTok and Instagram parameters that I was going to follow all year. Like that I was not going to be online except for 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And I took 17 days off the internet at the beginning of the year, at least off of TikTok and Instagram. And doing that, usually when I'm done with my time offline, I feel refreshed and I want to come right back to, you know, the world and communicate with everybody. But what I realized this time, and I think the big difference was this was the first time I've really taken a big break since I've been very into short form video. This time I didn't want to come back because I realized how much the scroll and the trash, the absolute garbage I was ingesting every day was affecting my brain, because these apps, they don't care about you and I. Like, they don't care about our well-being. And like a lot of times the creators don't care about you either. Because I feel like this mass production of content to stay on this rat race hamster wheel, it removes you a lot from your audience, because the connection is not what matters, because people don't follow people anymore, right? Like that's another point Damon made in his video. Like you don't follow someone really closely and like watch all their content. Like it's so hard to get people to do that and to like actually keep up with somebody. Usually you're just seeing whoever is on your For You page, which like is random ass people that you've never seen. And a lot of times it's not even content creators, just a random girl that had one viral video that you're seeing today. And it's a trend of a video that's been popular from a million other people doing said trend. You know what I'm saying? So like, because you don't just like follow people and have like loyal audiences anymore, creators don't have like any integrity. And this is something that I've noticed for a lot of years. And I thought this was like another thing I want to say, like as someone who was not on YouTube, like I'm not an OG content creator. I didn't start this back when everybody was first starting this, when I was looking up to people. Like I assume that like now, like as I've come up and met other content creators, that like I've met lots of shitty content creators, and I've talked about that online a lot of people that are only in this because they want attention or clout or whatever, and they don't actually care about creating interesting, fun things or entertaining people or making them learn something. Like they're not trying to give their audience anything. They only think about what their audience can give them. I just assumed that's always been the case. I just assumed as long as there were influencers and content creators that the majority of them have been trash this whole time. But what I think I'm realizing, like is that with the advent of short form video, which makes you have to make so much content and content that requires, in my opinion, no skill to make and isn't creative, isn't interesting. And also another thing Damon said, like it has to like follow trends and be like everyone else to succeed. Like if you're doing something truly different, like I said, like the little scrapbooky posts on Instagram, like the, you know, things that before I would see and be like, ooh, this is so interesting, I want to see more of it. Like if you're doing that different of thing, no one's going to want to see what you're doing, because you can only do short form video and you can only do it in certain ways to garner attention. So if you're doing something different, no one's going to see your stuff, which is crazy because, again, like I feel like when I came up, the whole reason I liked people was because they were different. Like I remember when Elle Mills posted her first YouTube video. I don't know if any of you guys remember Elle Mills. I don't even know if she makes content anymore, but I was like awestruck by Elle Mills. She was one of my very first inspos on YouTube. I loved everything she does. I don't think I've ever made anything nowadays that I would look at and go like, oh, that was clearly inspired by Elle Mills, but she was someone that really inspired me because she was a great creative. Or like Casey Neistat or David Dobrik, even though David Dobrik, may his reputation rest in peace, he's not the greatest guy apparently. Just like things like that, like that I would watch them and be like, wow, I want to make something cool like that one day. Well, I don't see that anymore, because in order to succeed on these platforms, you need to be doing what everyone else is doing. You need to be making the same stuff everyone else is making, or doing the same thing a little different. Nothing completely different. A little different, just a tiny bit different. And it just gets a tiny bit different with every creator that like air quotes blows up, to the point that it's like this gray blob of content, this like very niche. I don't even know, like I don't even know how to explain it, but like all, like everything is just kind of blending together and just becoming one thing. Is that making any sense? I don't know. But because of this, I think that's where your increase of people that have no integrity to their audience come from. Like, I think their disillusion with the people that are following them, like they just see these numbers and they're not caring about that, because at the end of the day, when you are creating short form video and you need to like, it's like sink or swim, baby girl. Like if you lose relevancy, you are out of here and you lose this job. And like, this is your dream job, right? This is what you've always wanted to do. Like that's what they're selling you on TikTok as a content creator, right? Like if you don't keep up, you're going to lose traction. And then what happens? So you're not really thinking about the people that are watching you anymore. I'm not saying me, because I don't relate to this sentiment. I'm just explaining what I think their thought process is. You're not thinking about the people watching you anymore. You're just trying to keep your head above water and stay on the right ways. And if you're someone, no offense, but that is not a creative, is not someone who is an artist or got on the app to do art, you don't really care what you're posting as long as it's getting views. Think about that. Think about what, like, there are creators that you follow right now. And like, it's sad because a lot of these ones, like that I'm thinking of in my head when I reference this, like they have these really, really, really big followings, and like young people that are really look up to them and admire them. And these people don't even realize that like these creators don't care about you. They're just trying to stay relevant, and they don't really care what they post as long as it does well. And again, I gotta say, I've been there. I know, not I've been there as in I don't care about my audience, but I've been in the situation where you have to keep posting. You just have to keep posting. You just have to keep posting. But I never stopped thinking about the people watching me. And I never just was like, I literally don't care what goes up as long as it does good. I don't care what goes up as long as it does good. That has never been a thought that's crossed my mind. Like I've only ever wanted to make the stuff that I wanted to make. And yeah, I've made shitty videos, like shitty little short form videos in the process of doing that. But like, it was never something, I would never post something that I genuinely did not care about. And that happens a lot, I feel like. I think that happens a lot. I think a lot of people do not care. They only care about clicks. And so because they have no attachment to their audience, because they don't have integrity to them, you have to think like, what are you ingesting? Like it's rat poison, because they're not even checking it. It would be like going to a restaurant and they're so busy, but instead of like hiring more people well, they can't. In this analogy, because if you're the content creator, you can't even hire anyone to help you. So you can't. So instead of like making quality food and like limiting and saying, oh, I'm only going to make 10 dishes tonight, you say, yeah, no, I'll serve 3,000 people. And you just make it the shittiest meal 3,000 times and you feed people that. And you have absolutely no cares in the world because you are just trying to make money. And this is the like commodification of content and people, which is so gross. And that's where you see things like recently I saw a video also by Kiki Chanel, I'll link that below too, about 10-year-olds going to Sephora and this like massive trend of like 10-year-old girls like being super obsessed with like Drunk Elephant and like getting like $90 like night creams for like 30-year-old women, and like that's what they need to do to be cool in school because they're all on TikTok and they're being inundated with all this stuff. And like the consumerism on TikTok is just so rampant, and it's so rampant that it's not just about products anymore. It's like about you and who you are and like content as well. Like, and so like people don't even care who's watching the content or if the message they're serving is good or bad or like what they're saying. They don't care. Not that short form video even really gives you a chance to give all the context or like all the disclaimers or anything like that because it's so short by nature. But the people who are posting it, they don't even like seem to care or stop to think. And it's like having really hurtful side effects, like making 10-year-old girls think that they need Drunk Elephant. And then brands like Drunk Elephant hop on it and are like happy to support it. Like, I don't know if Drunk Elephant actually supports it or not, but like they'll usually reshare the content of like little girls putting this skincare on because it's like benefiting them. They're making money off of it. I don't know. These people, I feel like a lot of content creators these days don't care what they make as long as they make something because they need to stay relevant. And that means they add nothing to your life. You're just eating trash. You're just eating that meal I made for 3,000 people that has no nutritional value, that maybe even has rat poison in it. Like it's garbage. You don't even know what you're eating. And like when you're eating it, it's like eating a Cheeto. Like Cheetos are so good. Like when you eat one, you're like, yum, that was good. It has no nutritional value though. It's not going to give you anything, but like you ate it and like, you don't even know when you're eating it, how bad it is for you. And then you go read about, you know what I'm saying? And this isn't to hate on Cheetos. I love them, but I think you're getting the point of what I'm trying to say here. Like it's just so vapid, empty, garbage, trash, what I have been calling for the last year, cheap content. And it means nothing. And I think that this is starting a trend with a lot of people where like we're starting to think more about what we ingest. Because like I said, when I was off the internet for 17 days and I felt better being away from it, like I didn't want to be back here. And this is what I like want to do for a living. This was like not YouTube. Because let me be clear, YouTube, I've never felt this way about. I love it here. I feel healthy here. I love every video I make. I found lots of creators in recent years that I've loved on YouTube that make videos that I enjoy in the niches that I love on YouTube. And I never feel like I have to stay on YouTube. Like I never get on YouTube and I'm like, oh my God, I can't get off. Like I'm not addicted to YouTube, if that makes sense. Like I choose to be on here. Maybe that's not as true as I wish it was, but like that is how I genuinely feel about it. Whereas TikTok or Reels, like you open Instagram or TikTok to look for one single thing, and you cannot get off the app because you open the app and all of a sudden you're an hour down scrolling on some random backdoor, whatever. You don't even know where you are at the moment. And you look up from your phone, you're like, what did I come on here for? It's kind of like when you walk into your, room to go get something and then you like an hour later are like, wait, what did I even come in here to get? Like that kind of a vibe. That's how I feel on TikTok and Instagram. Like, because of that feeling, because of how terrible they are for your brain, people are really considering like, what am I watching and what is it doing to my brain? Because we still don't even know like the long-term effects of this stuff. Like we're all guinea pigs. Like we don't even know what the effect of this short form video, like to me, plague is going to have on us. But I think people are starting to consider it and think about it. And it's creating people that have a desire to not be online at all. And it's also, I've seen like a trend in like people, homesteading or like making their own sourdough or getting back into hobbies and like trying to stay offline because they can't do it. Like the internet is just such a not fun place because it's trash and it's like not good for your brain. And people out here are social engineering content, tricking their audiences to keep them on platforms longer. Like that doesn't seem like a fun place to hang out. Maybe that's a controversial opinion, which if it is, that's crazy if you think that's controversial. I don't know. I miss when content was more about quality over quantity. I miss when, you know, I was following people so closely, so deeply. And I mean, I do that still on YouTube. I feel like that's still alive on YouTube. And I get afraid when I see these other platforms like Instagram and TikTok leaning into this other really not good for you content that's not memorable. It doesn't support artists or artistry. And it's like, where do the artists go? Because it used to be back in the day that if you were an artist, like you would try to work in Hollywood. Like you would try to be like, if you were, I don't know, if you like to draw, you try to get into animation. If you like to make clothes, you try to get into costume design or styling, you know, people, or you'd make movies, you know, you get into movies, you get into TV. Like if you were a director, if you like to make videos, but like now that's all going away. Like TV like doesn't exist anymore. Cable is literally going to be gone tomorrow, and streaming services aren't much better than the social medias I'm talking about right now. A lot of the stuff being made on streaming platforms, because they have to have so much content available to people, they have to. So much of it's trash. Tell me, like, there is so much garbage on Netflix, like genuine, absolute trash. And I feel like this is, I'm not going to say that this is happening to books, but sometimes I feel like it's about books. Like the more people that read books that haven't read books, they get into it. They read books that are not great books, like books that like, not just not great in my opinion, like I didn't like it, but like not great as in like, they literally didn't have an editor. Like there's grammar errors on every page. Like they just let this author write whatever she wanted for 3,000 pages. There's plot holes. It's terrible. It's like an embarrassment to the publishing industry and literature everywhere. I would never call this, like, books are art. Like I would never call this art. It's not good. And they're publishing that because they need more books. They need more, because things just don't get, and Damon talked about this in his YouTube video too, the buzz they used to. Like when you make a really good TV show, he was saying like you get like 3 days max on Twitter or X, I guess now. Like you get 3 days max of buzz about your show, and then it goes away. And it's like lost until next season when it comes back out again. Like then what? Why make big cool things if there's no point to it? If you can't even do it anymore. Like Netflix, it doesn't matter to Netflix if they make a million great, or if they make one really great show this year, which used to be a thing for networks. They could have one or two really great shows. Now it's like, if I would rather have 100 mediocre shows, you know, again, that analogy of like 3,000 really shitty dishes that are rat poison that people just like ingest because they're meaninglessly, you know, watching something and not thinking critically. Like, is this a problem with our school system? Like, what is it that we're like, and I have to say, like, I'm going to warn you all, like, maybe I'm a little bit pretentious about this, but like, I really love the artistry of books and film and like videos and like, I don't know, like the meaning behind it all and like why someone did it. And like, even music, same thing. Like there's a lot of music that's just like bullshit lately. I feel like it doesn't mean anything, that has no substance. It's just trash, which I wouldn't really mind, because I think sometimes trash is good. Sometimes I like trash, like shitty reality TV. Like sometimes I want to watch shitty reality TV. Sometimes I want to read a stupid book that's dumb. Sometimes I want to listen to music that just has a good beat. That's fine. But it's like the overwhelming majority is becoming that now. It's becoming the garbage. It's becoming the trash. Like this noise. It's just noise everywhere. And I've talked about that too, the noise of social media. Like everybody is talking and nobody has anything good to say. Why are you talking if you have nothing good to say? And maybe this is all a rant that doesn't make any sense to you and you don't relate to anything I'm saying, but like I feel like we all, as members of the internet, you know, we're all living here online. We all, no matter what, you're never going to escape this. Like a portion of your life will be spent online forever, basically. What can we do to clean this up? What can we do to stop this? And I think it's that it is your job as a viewer of content to think about what you're watching. What am I watching right now? What is it doing for me? Do I like this? Is this a person worth supporting? I talk about that all the time. I have such a passion for supporting people worth actually supporting, that like are genuinely good people, or wouldn't, you know, they think before they put something out there. They don't look at you as just a number. Like maybe we should all do a better job of doing that so that we can support. Cause like, it's kind of like it's a free market system, right? Like when you go to the store and you buy food, you're basically voting with your dollar. You're like saying, I want this thing. So if you buy things that actually mean something, that tells the stores, I need to sell things that mean something. And that's something that I feel like our generation has done before. There's been lots of like air quotes activism products that like have done well because people would rather buy those than products that are made shittily and not great for someone in the production line or whatever, you know? You can do that with your views too. Stop watching bullshit. Like, stop eating garbage. Stop. It's not worth it. Like, don't feed into this. Like, let's start voting with our eyeballs for things that actually mean something, and like long form content, you know, it doesn't have to be like philosophy or anything, but just like creative ideas or like interesting stuff. Like, why don't we support that? And I don't want to be all doom and gloom, because I think there are lots of people that are thriving and do make meaningful things, or like that have been lifted up in recent years. Like, I feel like podcasts is a great example of this. I think lots of podcasts, it's long form content. It's usually meaningful. It's not just trash. I don't feel like podcasts are trash. And maybe that's why podcasts are doing so well lately, because you can't, and this is something that I've talked about passionately to my friends and in my own life, you can't make trash podcast content, because you can't just talk about garbage for 40 minutes straight. Like, it has to have some kind of value to it. Like, maybe it's girl talk, but I think, you know, girl talk is valuable. Maybe it's ranting like I'm doing right now, or like maybe it's true crime or whatever that is. But like, I feel like it has to be worthy to some extent. And I hope nothing I'm saying gets misconstrued. I hope no one like listens to this and is like, oh, you are again pretentious, which maybe I am a little bit. Maybe I just have a high standard for content, but is that a bad thing? Because you're ingesting this, and what you ingest, what you take in is going to be you. It like has such a deep effect on who you are as a person. Wouldn't you rather follow and listen to and ingest things that are good? Maybe it doesn't even have to be artistically good, but just good. Like, not trash, like not someone just not caring about you. And I like don't want to give examples of creators that I feel like are those creators, because that's just not conducive. Like, we're not going to do that. Like, I'm not going to list the people that I'm like, oh, and these people are the ones that I think are, you know, not good for your brain, or making you hate yourself, or serving up garbage and you're all eating it. Like, I'm not going to do that. But just think about that. Like, what am I getting out of these people? And how do I use my view to vote for something that's actually worth it? You know? I don't know. And stop making artists and people that make thoughtful content. I guess that's really the word I'm looking for. Thoughtful content. Where's the thoughtful content on the internet? And to me, it still lives on YouTube. I see thoughtful videos and content like Damons video all the time on YouTube that like make me, they do something for me. They make me feel something, or I'm like learn something, or I don't know. I become a better person because of it, or I like admire their art. It inspires me, whatever that is. But on TikTok and Instagram, and it's sad because there's lots of creators I love on TikTok and Instagram that I feel like are getting caught in the rat race and just have to produce. And they're not bad people. They are good people. And like, there's also people on Instagram that are making meaningful content. I'm not saying no one is. Again, just want to, when I talk about garbage content, I mean like the literal garbage, and you guys know what I'm talking about. Like trash that means nothing. I'm not talking about somebody that puts effort into their content and it's like genuinely good. And again, even the people that are genuinely good, they're having to make, like, some of my favorite YouTubers, for example, like they have to go make lip syncy, throwaway, no one's going to remember this in 5 minutes content on TikTok to thrive and survive. And I love them. And is the little jokes that they're, you know, lip syncing the audio to, is it funny? Yeah, usually is. But it's not memorable. And like, they have to take time out of their day to do that, to stay relevant on platforms, to keep their head above water. And they shouldn't have to, because why? Like, I don't know. I think what I want you all to take away from this, in the grand scheme of everything, what this all means to me is just like, we all need to think more about what we're ingesting and how, and remember the times when we used to be able to take part in social media and actually be a part of it and follow creators we loved, and it was healthy and it wasn't taking over your life. Who remembers that? Because that was like not that long ago. That was like less than 10 years ago, or maybe exactly 10 years ago. Like early Instagram, we all talk about how beautiful it was. Like, why are we letting this happen? And it's us, we're building our own cage, just so you all know, because the more we scroll these things, the more we take place in them, we are literally telling them, give us more. This is what we want. And you need to take back some of the power and not partake in it if you can. Like, I don't know. Try to make meaningful things that mean something. Try to do, I don't know. And I'm not trying to sit here and be like, I'm the best content creator ever. I never do that again. Or everything that I make means something or isn't just for laughs. Because like, I think comedy is worth it. I think lighthearted content's worth it. I'm not saying that. I just mean like thoughtful content that people are not just serving you random garbage they don't care about. And they're like actually thinking about what they're doing, and it has intention behind what they're doing, or like they have a brand or a certain thing they do. They're not just posting trash. Maybe this made no sense. I had loose notes, but I don't know if I really stuck to them. And when I go listen back to this, maybe this won't even make it to the internet because it was too random and crazy. But if you relate to this, I would love to hear your thoughts. Please leave me what you think in the comments. If you're listening on Spotify and you get the little box, leave your comments in there. If you're watching on YouTube, leave your comments. I want to talk to you, okay? And again, I'm not trying to sound holier than thou. I'm not trying to say, everyone be like me. I'm so creative and interesting. No, I'm not trying to say that the bar needs to be set super high. But like right now, it's so low, it's like below the floor. Like, could we just have a medium bar? Could we just have some bar? There is no bar. That's the problem for content nowadays. That's my issue. Anyways, I'm going to start ranting now. I love you guys. I hope this meant something to you. And if you are listening to the podcast on a listening platform, rate it 5 stars. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like, a comment, interact with this. I'm happy to be here on the internet with you guys. But that is all. I will see you guys in the next episode of Saddle Bunny. Have the best week of your life. Peace out.